Let's break off the engagement, the guy unexpectedly proposed to his bride on Friday night. These were the words heard by a man at a party in honor of the return of the second son of the Duke of Claremont. The man again repeats his decision to young Elle de Blois about his intentions to break off the engagement. The girl asks the guy why he is talking about this so suddenly, because they are already engaged. "Because I don't love you anymore," answers François-Joseph de Bar. Suddenly, a certain Adelaide de Grand intervenes in their conversation. She asks the man to just tell it like it is, saying that they love each other. Adelaide's appearance, and she asks her for forgiveness for what happened. "François and I are in love with each other," says the lady. Adelaide asks Elle if she will congratulate them on this. The girl did not expect to hear such nonsense, and these two are so unbearable for her that she can barely restrain herself. Hitting the guy in the stomach, she says in her thoughts that she is not stupid enough to congratulate them. The man falls to the floor in pain, and his new lover runs up to him screaming. Now that Elle has found out about the affair between the two of them, she is ready to break off the engagement. "Let's end this, François." The girl explains that they themselves must tell the Marquis about this, and asks them not to forget to tell him the reason why the engagement was broken off. Adelaide shouts to the departing Elle, ordering her to stop, but the lady continues to move away from the two. Returning to the party, the heroine is greeted by two girls, wondering where Mr. François, with whom she went to the garden, has gone. Elle tells them that she just broke off her engagement, which leaves the two young ladies in shock. They ask if the young lady is okay, considering that her heart is clearly broken. One of the ladies puts alcohol in Elle's hands, congratulating her in any case on gaining freedom. The girl says that she had a similar experience, and alcohol is the best helper in such times according to her. The ladies clinked their glasses together and drank a drink to their lady's health. The girl who recommended drinking alcohol tells how difficult it is to say hello to Sir Theodore, the main person of today's party. The lady wonders what is the reason for his sudden appearance, because for many years, the son of Duke Claremont has not been seen at all. Suddenly, another girl decides to ask the heroine about Theodora, because the two of them studied at the military academy. According to rumors, the man was like a crazy dog. Suddenly for everyone, François and Adelaide come to the party again, exposing their relationship to the general public. Now for the ladies who helped Elle in this grief, it becomes clear who the man's new lover is. While the heroine stands in complete stupor, the girls express surprise that Sir François turned out to be such a person. Elle actually guessed about this. Even when they first met Adelaide, the man could not take his eyes off her. The girl thinks that it is possible, because he was her love and best friend. She so diligently closed her eyes to this. She now considers herself an idiot who always clung to him, unable to let go. The lady remembers the day when François came to congratulate her on her safe return. The guy wanted to take my lady's hand, but she noticed that her gloves were dirty. But still, he asked her not to worry about this, and, taking her hand, gave the lady a bright smile. Suddenly, Ella decides to run away from the party. Noticing this, the girls who were next to her at the time shout out to her. Running away, the heroine convinces herself that if she had known that this would happen, she would never have become engaged to François. Despite the fact that she was sure that she would love another, the lady cannot believe the betrayal. Milady wants to return to that day when love was felt in the guy's words and his smile. If only time could be turned back, Elle would never love him again. The heroine, hoping that the merciful God will listen to her prayers, asks to show mercy to her and return her to that day. "If you feel sorry for me, then please send me back to that time," Elle says, falling asleep. A young lady has a nightmare in which, for some unknown reason, she is sentenced to death. She wonders what she did wrong, and saying that it was just a dream, screams that she doesn't want to die. Elle wakes up screaming, and a voice unfamiliar to her calms the girl. Milady is glad that, as it turned out, it was just a dream. "Did you have a nightmare?" asks the stranger. Opening her eyes, the heroine is horrified that she is in a bedroom she has not seen before, along with Sir Theodore. "Hello, master?" the guy responds to the words of the frightened young lady. She silently wonders why she had to be in the same room with this crazy dog. Elle is at a loss about what is happening now. She does not understand why she is in the same room with Theodore. The girl remembers that she drank after she announced her breakup with François. Augustus Theodore Jean de Clermont was a knight of Claremont and the son of His Majesty King Claire's younger sister. A guy from the same military academy as Elle and the main character of the evening where she announced her breakup. At that party, the heroine was completely heartbroken by François' words. Asking Sir Theodore what is going on here, the girl notices that she is wearing the same clothes as yesterday. The guy tells how yesterday he found her drunk, lying in the garden, and therefore brought her to this place. The lady didn't want to get so drunk, and if anyone saw her, just this thought makes Elle feel sick. Moreover, Sir Theodore helped her. Even though they spent their cadet days together at the military academy, they were not friends. In addition, the guy was completely uncontrollable at the knighting ceremony. If this is the crazy dog that everyone knows, the girl wonders for what reason he helped her. What is my master thinking? From these words, Elle wonders why Theodore addresses her as a master. The girl is sure that nothing really happened. Suddenly, Theodore tells Elle to be more careful, because if she doesn't, he will be very disappointed. The guy says he didn't do anything. He's held back so much, but the lady still wants him to wait one more night according to him. The heroine asks what Theodore wants, and he answers that he could not finish yesterday. Elle realizes that he helped her, but wonders why so suddenly. While she is thinking about this, the guy is getting closer and closer to her. "I want to do this with you, master," Theodore says, taking the girl by the neck and her luxurious curls. Milady pushes him away and runs away, screaming that the man is crazy. Blushing, the girl leaves and thinks that Theodore is completely crazy. "Already leaving? Well, I'll see you soon," the guy says after the leaving young lady. Arriving at her home, Elle is met by her nanny, who, upon seeing her mistress, immediately bombards her with questions. Elle decides that she should hide the fact that she spent the whole night with Theodore. Considering that this happened immediately after the engagement was broken, the heroine tells Nanny that everything is fine with her and she needs to get ready for work. Having dressed the mistress in her uniform, the maid compliments her, saying that in the entire kingdom of Rouen, there is no knight more suitable for submission than Elle. The girl notices Nanny's words and reminds herself that she is a knight of the kingdom of Rouen and the deputy commander of the November Knights. Eloise Theresa de Blois, heiress of the House of Blois, which protects the royal family. "You can't be sad forever, right?" asks the heroine, which makes Nanny a little perplexed. Although she needs a little time to think about what happened this morning, Elle accepts the fact that her engagement was called off and that she was just having a nightmare for a while. Liu, the son of her mother's lieutenant, approaches her. They grew up together like a family in her hometown. The boy gets the feeling that he is looking at the Countess of Blois in her youth. Elle replies that it is too flattering of him to compare her to her mother. Leyburn also runs up to them, who notices that Sir Maurice, as well as the lady, came early today. Coming closer, the girl says that Elle looks better than she thought, saying that she heard the heroine drinking at the party yesterday. "Incredible, Lady Elle, as expected from the head." Winking, Leyburn praises the lady. Milady is not surprised by Lucy Leybourne's behavior. Although she is a commoner, she is well known among the knights for her information-gathering abilities, but has not been promoted for many years due to her recklessness. Elle is sadly surprised that the news of her breakup reached the ears of Lucy, who was not even at the evening. In any case, the girl believes that now the lady will have a hard time, because no matter how much the leader favors her, it's just to Sir Maurice. The lady decides to ask the guy what it all means, but he just refuses the question. Under pressure from Elle, Sir Maurice says that the heroine should first go to the office. The boy also notes that if swinging a sword is my lady's main job, she should not neglect paperwork. Leyburn with him, and they return to their work. With a bad feeling, Elle comes to the office and notices something strange. There is no one in it. The young lady's office, which is always a mess of documents, turns out to be very clean. From the girl's thoughts, she is interrupted by Sir Theodore, who reminds her of what he said earlier about how they will meet soon. The man wanted to formally greet Elle last Friday night, but now reveals that he was knighted in the Order of November and appointed Assistant Deputy Commander. "I am Auguste Theodore Jean de Claremont, looking forward to working with you, mistress," the guy says at the end of his speech. Looking at him, Elle is perplexed by what is happening to her at the moment. The heroine bursts into the commander's office asking what happened to the lieutenant's post. The man notices that the girl arrived just in time. He reveals that Ella became the second in command of the Knights of the 11th Division, so he could not leave the position of assistant vacant. Despite this, Milady wonders how the commander could choose someone without consulting her. Besides, he chose him. The man understands the mistress's feelings, but according to him, this is too much, adding, "We all trust the abilities of Lady L." The girl is perplexed by the words the commander just said, but still, Sir Theodore is a member of the royal family. The man thinks that it would be nice if one of the royal blood were among them, although if something goes wrong, it could cost him his head. Elle becomes simply funny at what is happening, and she asks the commander to change his decision. The man explains that he cannot do this because the documents have already been signed. The lady is surprised that he did everything so quickly. Suddenly, my lady notices the highest quality wine that is in the kingdom of Rouen, Château de Durvilliers. In addition, it is the best wine that is produced only in Bel Air. She becomes interested in how the commander, accustomed to drinking only cheap alcohol, managed to get such expensive wine. The man, shaking Elle's shoulder, expresses his hope that she continues to work hard. The girl remembers that Belliere is part of the territory of the Duke of Claremont, but she does not understand how he knew that the commander likes to drink. The heroine, blazing with rage, Dame Lebrun wishes her luck. Elle responds by taking the girl by the shoulder and asking if she knew everything. In Madame Blois's opinion, everything is so, but Lucy replies that she didn't know about anything. Milady asks not to lie to her because she always knows everything about everything, even the color of the underwear that Her Highness wears. The girl denies the above and notes that she is not interested in the underwear that a woman wears. Although it would be different if we were talking about Sir Maurice's underwear, Miss Lebrun shouts without thinking. At this very moment, the boy comes into their office and, hearing what they were talking about, drops the documents in horror. Lucy says that he understood everything wrong, and while the girl is screaming about it, Elle is already starting to approach Maurice. "Did you know about the new lieutenant?" asks the lady. Miss Lebrun is trying by all means to prevent him from talking about anything. The boy, seeing all this, comes to the conclusion that he came in at the wrong time. Maurice says that an official letter arrived last night. They were told it was an urgent matter. They wanted to put it off since they had already finished the work, but it turned out that it was a letter with the seal of the royal family. While Lucy is trying to explain what she recently said to Maurice, the heroine is surprised to think that the royal family interfered in the management of the affairs of the knights while she was at the ball. However, few people know the deputy commander's schedule, Elle said. She decides that it must be someone of stature who wanted to help Theodore for his own interest and benefit. Only one person comes to the lady's mind, Her Highness the Princess. Therefore, the heroine decides to visit her, about which the princess is notified by the servant. Elle de Blois greets Her Highness the Princess. After these words, the royal person asks the girl how she likes the gift. At such an early age, she knows everything about military tactics, politics, and economics. She is fully equipped with the skills needed to become the next ruler. The Princess of the Kingdom of Rouen is Marie Josephine Claire, also known as Princess Pippin. Was it really a gift? Elle asks in surprise. She doesn't understand how she could call her cousin, His Majesty's nephew, a gift. Maria doesn't understand the girl's reaction and decides that she wanted something more unusual. The princess spells out that it is just a gift. It begins to seem to the lady that the princess seemed to know that she would break off the engagement. Maria congratulates Elle on the fact that all the headlines in the newspapers will now be only about her. Her Highness suggests which name would sound better, putting forward the option, "The villainess who interrupted the love of the century." Milady is perplexed by what is happening. She explains that rumors are spreading quickly. The princess puts forward another option. Elle de Blois tried to steal Francis from Adelita. To these words, the heroine replies that these are just rumors. Maria asks if the young lady is sure of this, because the Baroness said otherwise. No one noticed, but it's really terrible, according to her. The king's daughter explains that a broken engagement is therefore perfect bait for the nobles. Under pressure from the princess, Elle reflects that she really considered Adelaide a friend, and does not understand why she would do this to her. Maria asks the girl to raise her head and look at her. She says that she doesn't want the honor of one of her knights to be ruined by such a poisonous thing, so she is very upset. The princess wonders how they dared to sully the honor of her knight. According to Maria, this is why she gave Mrs. Theodora. Elle asks what the broken engagement has to do with her cousin. The princess explains that the best way to destroy a rumor is to create a new one. Claremont under her command, then this could make the aristocrats forget about breaking off the engagement. Maria says that Sir Theodore fled on the day of the inauguration, and she is sorry that he was deprived of his rights to the throne. However, her aunt told her that since Theo was back, he would finally calm down once and for all. And no matter how much the princess thinks, the only person who can pacify her cousin is her dear Lady Elle. In addition, Maria constantly thinks about how her aunt begged her, noting that she has a very kind heart. The heroine wonders if the king's daughter really thinks that she will fall for these fake tears. The girl asks if this person should really be her. The princess, like aunt, agrees with this, because if it is Lady Elle, everything will be fine according to her. Even if Mary seems stupid and naive, the royal family needs someone to take care of the problem. The heroine also needs something shocking to eliminate the rumors. This means that their interests converge. According to the lady, it is quite difficult to hide such rumors, but she is very grateful for the help. But the girl says that Sir Theodore cannot be her assistant. The princess wonders if it's true that Elle can't do it, even if she asks her to. Milady says to herself not to look into Maria's sweet eyes. The king's daughter notes that the young lady is not easy to persuade the heroine, so she will have to take tough measures. There is only one thing that can help her with this, and that is a 10% salary increase. As a result, as Maria expected, the girl could not refuse her after such an offer. Since she agreed to this, she decides to take action and first comes to her office. She tells Theodore that from today, he is assigned to the post of assistant to the deputy commander, noticing that for disobeying her orders, he will be reprimanded more severely than the other knights. "Yes, okay," the man replies to all the loud words spoken by Elle. She is surprised at such calmness, because during the academy, the guy was capricious and always dissatisfied. Only a few years have passed, but Theodore no longer looks like himself, according to my lady. The young lady decides to give him some time, but suddenly she senses something strange behind her. Finding himself right in front of her, Theodore asks the girl why she is so surprised. Taking her by the hair, he reminds her that Ella has become the owner of the dog, so the more she pushes away, the closer he will get. The heroine orders the guy who ran away from his ceremony to shut up. She says that at the request of Her Highness, she decided to take him to her place. The lady also assures that such an appearance of kindness will never happen again. "Are you afraid of Claremont's mad dog?" asks Theodore. These words make Elle wonder if she is afraid of this guy, but comes to the conclusion that what scares her most is what is happening. This is how she answers him, explaining that a knight should not experience fear, except fear of his master. She has no one to fear except Princess Pippin. Then, according to Theodore, she should keep him on a short leash. She wonders what kind of leash the man is referring to. Putting Elle's hand on his neck, the guy asks to just call him Theo, saying that she will become a leash for this crazy dog. The heroine again has a strange dream, where she is about to be executed for murder and treason, amid cries that she is a witch. The girl wakes up in a cold sweat after such a nightmare. After thinking a little, looking at the time, she decides that she is too tired. Going downstairs, Nanny notices Elle and wonders in surprise whether the mistress has already gotten up. The lady replies that it is because she had a nightmare. The maid asks to sit down and says that she will soon bring my lady breakfast. She notices a newspaper on the table with the headline, "Mad Dog Claremont is now a subordinate of Elle de Blois." The girl is happy that everyone has forgotten about the broken engagement. However, remembering Theodore's words, she doesn't want to go to work at all. The nanny brings the lady stew and bread. The heroine decides to ask the woman if she has ever dreamed of death. The maid replies that she does not remember such a thing, but as she heard, such dreams are a good omen. "Dreams are just dreams, so don't worry too much," the servant asks. Looking at the food, Elle thinks that lately she has only been having nightmares. She comes to the conclusion that it may be due to stress, so the lady decides to eat and cheer herself up. The nanny watches the mistress eat with great enthusiasm and wonders how hungry the girl is. Elle takes a break from her meal and praises the maid's stew, calling it amazing. Arriving at work, my lady stands outside her office for 20 minutes, and Sir Maurice decides to tell her about it. 2 days have passed since Theodore was appointed as her assistant. Because of this, the heroine goes crazy, wondering why she doesn't want to enter her own office. Sir Maurice, laughing, notes that there is still something that Elle is afraid of, and apparently it is the sergeant. "That's right, Maurice. I'm really afraid of Sir Theodore," the girl answers to the boy's surprise. Therefore, she wants to invite him to change, but the guy immediately changes the topic of conversation. Maurice gives the lady a book as a gift, because she might need it. Looking at the gift and the boy leaving, she thinks that he is definitely laughing at her. Before he leaves, the guy also reminds Elle about the recruits' party, and this news irritates her. Thinking that the heroine is going crazy, she finally decides to enter her office. However, Theodore opens the door himself and asks why the girl doesn't come in, which makes her too scared. They say good morning to each other, and after that, Elle decides to ask why the guy calls her master. In response, again calling the lady master, he asks her not to forget to call her Theo when she addresses him. "Sir Theo, why am I a master for you?" The lady decides to pose her question in this way. He replies that she is simply a master to him. The girl decides that Theodore is avoiding a direct answer. Elle reminds him that they both attended the same military academy, so she wants to know the reason why he decided to call her that. In response, Theo again says that she is just a master to him. Milady then decides to ask why Theodore applied for the position of assistant to the deputy commander if he is a high-ranking nobleman. He replies that this is also related to the master. "Enough!" the lady shouts, and says that she doesn't care what Theo thinks about her, but from now on she asks to call her Dame L. The guy capriciously replies that he doesn't want to do that. The heroine wonders what to do because this is a complete disaster. Theodore notes that from today they will work together. Coming closer to L, he says that he was so worried that he could not sleep peacefully at night. Theodore presses on the girl, and exactly the same situation occurs as yesterday. However, this time she responds to the guy's insolence and throws him to the floor. "So you want to dominate?" Theodore asks, lying on the ground. Elle says that she knows the guy well, and he is not interested in what he doesn't like. Holding his hand, she notices that Tell's body is somehow relaxed. The lady guesses that Theodore is enjoying this moment. Suddenly, the heroine notices that her cloak has fallen to the ground. At the moment of their showdown, Miss Lucy bursts into them, who loudly says that she is going to go to the main office. Noticing what is happening with the heroes, she asks if she interrupted them. Having released Theodore, Elle asks not to talk nonsense and says good morning to Lady Leyburn. Theo picks up his cloak and wonders why the lady continues to be angry, saying that he only wanted to dust off her cape. She notices the strong mark she left with her hands on his neck and realizes that she overdid it. Theodore asks Lady Leyburn about her intention to go to the main office. Elle decides to tell Theo to go with Miss Lucy to the office and fill out the paperwork. "Right now?" asks the guy. The girl replies that this needs to be done as soon as possible, and it would be nice if Theodore starts to get used to working with Lady Leyburn. The guy agrees to this, since this is the order of the mistress. Elle replies that this is the master's order, and expresses the hope that he will learn everything as soon as possible. When Lucy and Theodore go to the main office, she looks at him, emphasizing his beauty. The guy decides to ask the girl if she wants to tell him something. Miss Leyburn replies that if Theo smiles at everyone like Lady L, she is sure the man will be very popular with the girls. Theodore thought that Lucy was attracted to Sir Maurice. The girl wonders how the guy knew about this, wondering if he has the ability to read minds or something like that. Lucy also decides to ask why Theodore calls the Lady L master. He replies that he cannot say, but she says that there are a number of reasons for this, and one of them may be that she is L de Blois. Lucy notices that for her, such a person is Sir Maurice, and it seems to her that she and Theodore have several common features. When they almost reach the main office, Lady Leyburn says to be on guard because their superiors are impenetrable. While the two are busy running errands for Elle, she reads a book about dogs. Thinking that Sir Theodore is a man, however, she still reads the same thing. The lady notices that if she relaxes even for a moment, she will immediately fall asleep. It's all because of the nightmares she has. Due to the fact that Theodore and Lucy will need some time to deal with all the papers, she decides to take a little nap. But surprisingly, the cheerful Lady Leyburn, along with Theo, burst into her office. The girl cannot believe that they were accepted so quickly, noting that it was all thanks to Elle's assistant. The guy explains that he was just following the orders of his master. The heroine praises them for their work, but asks what they are talking about. Lucy says it's about the office. When they got there, for some unknown reason, everyone was horrified by the expression on Sir Theodore's face, and she finds it incredible that they finished so quickly. Dame Leyburn decides to tell Sir Maurice everything and leaves. Afterwards, Elle reflects on how Lucy was always exhausted by going to the main office. She wonders what Sir Theodore could do to make everything happen so quickly. She comes to the conclusion that a person like him is still useful. Theo even cleaned her office, which was constantly a mess due to a bunch of documents. The girl sees many marks from her hands, and she becomes ashamed of it. Seeing what Theodore is staring at, he lowers his collar, and it seems that the guy understands what she is thinking. But despite this, the lady wonders why he continues to look at her. Lady thinks she may have been too harsh with Theo. After all, his neck is still red. However, due to her assistant's gaze, she is now unable to even drink water calmly. The girl notices that Theodore just looked at her and licked his lips. Elle breaks down and says that's enough paperwork for today. Theo replies that the case of robbing the aristocrats is still pending. The mistress says she gives him a week to do this and calls him to patrol. Along the way, Theodore notes that if they go further, they will end up on Fawn Street. He also talks about a shortcut that leads to Gauchy Street. The heroine notices that the guy quickly catches on. Theo talks about Seogu, which is under the jurisdiction of their department, an area populated mainly by the aristocracy. Recognizing that the streets are calm, although sometimes crimes occur that cannot be ignored, Elle decides that from now on they will often go out into the city. "Me and the master?" asks the guy. The girl replies that it will be so if nothing special happens. Theodore comes to a conclusion and notes that they will be alone, and the lady confirms his words. Watching Theo smile, she decides that he is happy. The heroine remembers how it was written in the book that walking dogs is important, and it seems that this rule works better than she expected. Continuing to walk, Elle notices something suspicious in the darkness and stands up. However, only a cat runs out of there. The girl tells Theodore that it is time for them to go, and when they leave, behind the cat, in a dark corner of the passage, a certain person in a cloak is hiding. Returning back, the lady comes to the conclusion that her intuition failed her. Theo puts forward the possibility that this is because it is unsettled at this time. Elle talks about rumors about a thief who appeared the other day. He is known as Zephyr. An unknown person robs the houses of aristocrats, and there are no details about him. The thief was named after the god of the wind because he is as fast as the wind. The lady is sure that something is wrong here, but for some reason they still haven't been able to find any clues. Theodore suggests looking around the street again, but the lady decides to leave it at that. The guy doesn't really like this decision because he wants to walk a little more. Hearing this, Elle comes to the conclusion that Theo really is like a dog. The heroine asks if Theodore is tired because they walked around the perimeter twice. She also asks them to remember everything they saw today for the next patrol. Suddenly, Elle is hit and pushed by an unknown person hiding under a cape. The thief hit the girl right in the leg, which she injured at the last reception. Theodore asks to be allowed to examine the lady, but she assures that everything is fine with her and notices the stolen bag. Theo says that he must immediately take Elle to the hospital, but she, shouting at him, orders him to run after the thief. The young lady also suggests that this stranger in a cloak may be Zephyr. Theodore does not want to leave, and the lady has to shout at the guy even more, noting that he must unconditionally obey her orders. Theo begins to chase the thief, thinking that he could not have gone far. He saw the supposed Zephyr and the real chase began. The guy catches up with the thief and swings his sword at him, but he was surprisingly able to dodge the attack. "Did you think I would lose you?" Theodore wonders, and with his dexterity, he uses the wall of a nearby house. With this, he manages to catch up with the thief, and Theo kicks the thief out of the air. The unknown person is lying on the ground, and Theodore begins to approach him. Raising his sword, he asks how he dares to touch his master. Seeing this, the thief begins to beg the guy to stop. Suddenly, Elle asks Theodore to stop and let the kidnapper go. She can't believe he was able to track him down and praises the boy for his quick learning. Theo notices the mistress's injured leg, and she replies that as far as he can see, she's fine. The girl asks him not to worry, telling him that it was a test, and also that there is a welcome party for newcomers to the 11th Division, which cannot be missed. Theodore comes to the conclusion that the thief brought him here on purpose, and Elle's injury is just a pretense. The lady apologizes for misleading him, saying that they all went through this, so he shouldn't be upset. Sir Maurice remembers how the heroine knocked out the thief before she even got to the bar. Milady says that this is a tradition, so she could not help but carry it out. "Sir Theo, welcome to the 11th Night Division." Elle extends his hand to Theodore. The heroine expresses her intention to get along with the guy, and he is of the same opinion with her. He also thanks her for stopping him. Otherwise, he would have made a serious mistake. Then the lady asks to go inside, because everyone is already waiting for them. Leaving, Elle praises Sir Jerome for his good work, because he turned out to be very believable. However, the guy doesn't think it's funny, because Theodore really tried to kill him. Upon entering, the heroes are greeted by Lady Leyburn, who is holding many plates in her hands. She talks about how she thought she would grow old from waiting. The girl asks how the initiation ceremony went. Sir Maurice replies that everything was wonderful, which makes Miss Lucy decide that she should have seen it. Dame Leyburn is asked where the commander is, and she says that he has gone to help with Zephyr's case. The jeweler repaired Her Highness's broken necklace, but Zephyr announced that he was going to steal it, so he asked the commander to help with transportation. By this time, he should probably already be in the palace. "Marshmallows are rare," says the stranger, hitting his glasses on the table. A thief, who takes care of poor children with stolen things. Although he still remains a thief, even if he considers himself a righteous man, the man says. Sir Maurice asks the man if he is here to drink and talk about work. The two of them are asked to calm down, and Elle asks Theodore to sit down at the table. Theo asks the man if he can sit next to him, and he allows him to do so. Before the welcome party begins, Sir Maurice asks the second-in-command to say something. Elle says that as everyone present knows, they have gathered to welcome Sir Theodore, who recently joined them, so she hopes everyone will get to know him better and take part in today's celebration. "Sir Theodore has officially joined the ranks of the Knights of the 11th Division," the heroine says, raising a glass of drink. While everyone is celebrating, the girl notices that this atmosphere is different from other greetings. Elle also notices that people drink too much. Looking at Theodore and remembering his origins, she comes to the conclusion that all his titles are not too exaggerated. Suddenly, for Miss Lucy, everyone in the area fell silent. The heroine thinks that it's a pity. Not everyone is as sociable as Lady Leburn. The girl, remembering what Sir Theodore did to her today, thanks him for it. One of the division members asks what exactly happened to them today. Lucy tells everyone what Sir Theo did, and everyone is surprised that no one in the main office was strict. Elle believes that since Lady Leburn is here, she need not worry, and now that everything is in order, she can leave. Theodore notices that his master is about to leave and asks her about it. Everyone sitting at the table heard the guy's words and turned their gaze to the lady. The remaining members of the 11th Division are shocked that Theodore called the deputy commander the mistress. And only after this, Ella remembers that she had to tell the guy not to call her that in public. The members of the division did not think that their leader was like that. In response, the girl screams and calls them idiots. Lucy suggests that this may be some kind of game because she saw something like this in the office, which makes the others even more uneasy. One of the participants still decides to ask why someone from the royal family calls the second-in-command that way. The heroine does not understand how she should explain everything, and Theodore decides to intervene, saying that he is indebted to Lady L. She's surprised by this, because the guy avoided direct answers when she asked. People begin to bombard the girl with questions about this. In response, she asks that it is better to ask Theodore himself about this. They decide to go to a meeting with Elle's advice, but Sir Theo is difficult to talk to, as the lady expected. The girl notices that everyone began to calm down after addressing Theodore. But in any case, my lady decides that she should get out of here. But suddenly, Lady Leburn suggests playing Truth or Dare. Lucy decided to suggest this, because in this way, they could get to know Sir Theodore better, and everyone could ask a question. If the new member of the division does not answer questions, he will drink a special cocktail that Lady Leburn will prepare. She says that she just brought an excellent ingredient for a cocktail. From her bag, the girl takes out the Chateau de Durvilliers. Sir Maurice asks where she got this wine. Lucy replies that she found it in the commander's office. There was a lot of him. That's why she stole one bottle. According to Dame Leburn, when everyone is drunk, truth or dare is the best way to get to know each other. Elle asks Sir Theodore if he agrees to take part in Miss Lucy's idea, considering that he will definitely refuse it. However, the guy is not against this. Because of this, the heroine decides that Theo is very naive. The deputy gave her permission, and everyone is happy about it. But Sir Maurice asks if everything will be fine with Theodore, because Miss Lucy's special cocktail is capable of knocking down even a bear. The lady assures that everything should be in order, because Theo is a normal person, and people from the royal family are accustomed to alcohol. The girl also believes that they cannot disturb such a lively atmosphere. Elle thinks about the questions, and that no one would dare to just ask Sir Theodore about anything, at least about personal things. Miss Lucy decides to pop the question first, and asks the guy if she likes the second-in-command. From such a question, the heroine opens her mouth and all the alcohol pours out. Theo notices that the girl is dirty and gives her a scarf so that she can clean herself up. Dame Leburn insists here, due to the atmosphere, to answer her question. When he started to answer, Elle stopped him and asked him not to answer it. However, other members of the division began to add fuel to the fire. Theodore says that he can answer no matter how many times he is asked. Trying to answer again, Elle shuts up again and notes that it was in order. "As you say, mistress," Sir Theo replies, taking Miss Lucy's special cocktail. He drinks it all down, and Lady Leburn notices that the punishment is complete. Lucy feels sorry for what is happening, because she wanted to hear something interesting. She also decides to ask what Sir Maurice thinks about this. Having placed the glass on the table, Theodore turns to Elle and says that the cocktail was very tasty. Dame Leburn agrees with the guy, saying that the special cocktail is a masterpiece passed down in her family from generation to generation. Lucy decides to ask, just in case, how much Sir Theodore can drink. While he had not yet answered, the heroine noticed that his gaze had changed. Sir Theo replies that he doesn't know the answer to this question because he usually just drinks until he passes out. Hearing this, Elle is very surprised. Having learned the answer, Lady Leburn decides to continue and asks the people sitting at the same table which of them wants to ask the next question. The lady recalls the commander's words that if something happens, his head could be blown off his shoulders. She decides that if this continues, they could be in danger. From now on, I am Sir Theodore's knight, so she can save Theodore from a large amount of Miss Lucy's special cocktail. A little later, Sir Maurice asks if Lady L is okay. She reveals that she is no better. He would know this if he tried Dame Leburn's cocktail. The girl decides to ask the guy. Even if she remained silent, they would still start talking about her behind her back. She got this idea because the knights bombarded Sir Theodore with strange questions, trying to find out something. Maurice assures the lady that they will all be well punished in the future. However, Elle replies that everything is fine and even believes that if it weren't for Lady Leyburn, Theo would not have joined the team. "Will you leave everything like this?" Sir Maurice asks in surprise. The girl is not against this, because today they met thanks to alcohol. So Milady decides that they can go to the training ground tomorrow and get closer. In response, the boy asks not to drag him into this. The lady remembers that Maurice was involved in that commotion. This will be his punishment for influencing the rest of the knights with his behavior. Moreover, this is a punishment for failing to control the knights, which Elle said would be fair enough. Hearing strange noises, they return back to the members of the 11th Division and see Sir Theodore unconscious. The knights say that they tried to stop Lady Leyburn, but they failed. Maurice asks how many laps the lady will make them do tomorrow. In response, an angry Elle screams at the entire bar at the knights, calling them crazy bastards. The princess's servant knocks, and Maria allows her to enter. The woman turns to Her Highness and asks her to go to bed, but the young lady is not very willing to comply with this request. The maid says that children need to sleep at this time in order to grow up strong and healthy, and Maria still breaks down under the pressure. Looking at the night sky under the light of the moon, the princess wonders if Lady L is having fun now. At this time, the heroine is carrying Sir Theodore, who is drunk and passed out. "Lady, the guy's height makes it already difficult to carry him, but he's also heavy." Looking back, she sees her subordinates, wondering what useless bastards they are. The girl recalls their conversation, which took place about 10 minutes ago, where the knights, for fear of touching Theo, decided to refuse to help the deputy commander. But still, Sir Maurice volunteered to help Lady L, and together they carried the guy. Pausing a little, the heroine expresses the difficulty in this task, and notices that she is also a little drunk. Maurice, unexpectedly for the lady, begins to laugh, and she asks the reason for his merriment. He says he never thought the day would come when he would help Claremont's rabid dog. It seemed to him that Sir Theodore would never return to the capital. The guy finds this truly incredible, without even imagining that this could happen. Thinking about Maurice's words, Milady also comes to the conclusion that she also did not think that this could happen. She tells the boy that the princess and duchess asked her to look after Theo. Elle thinks that it is better not to disappoint them with this request. However, since Sir Theodore was in such a state, she would have to visit the lady and the duchess. Maurice advises taking Theo into the dukedom if she is so worried. The duchess is friendly with the Blois family, so the girl can go and explain the situation. Since the guy started talking about this, Elle decided to try to ask him for help, but he, without listening to her, interrupts and wishes a happy journey to the heroine. The lady wonders what kind of bastard Maurice is, in her opinion, because he never offered to help her, even out of politeness. When Milady enters the carriage, the boy asks not to forget that the lives of the knights who brought Sir Theodore to such a state are now in her hands. "Don't you know who I am?" Elle answers and assures that Maurice should not worry. She will be able to save everyone's life. Looking at the carriage leaving, the guy decides that he should go and get himself in order. Returning to the bar, one of the knights comes running to Maurice, asking for help. A picture opens before him of how all the members of the division are on their last legs and begging Leyburn to stop pouring them water. The guy turns to Lucy and says that it is too late and he will go home. The girl hugs Maurice, and he asks her how much alcohol she managed to drink. Unexpectedly for the guy, Lady Leyburn takes him by the collar and screams that he is a handsome bastard. "How could you do this to me?" asks Lucy, holding on to the frightened boy. The girl says that she is here because of Sir Maurice. Thanks to him, she is here and is not going to let him go. Before passing out, Lady Leyburn notes that, however, she will forgive the guy. "No, I can't forgive you. Maurice, you—" The girl, having still found the strength, pronounces these words to him. Realizing that Lucy is also very drunk, the boy decides to give her a break tomorrow. While Elle is riding in the carriage, she notices that she will soon arrive at the Duke's residence. Looking at Sir Theodore, the lady notices that, oddly enough, he sleeps peacefully, even in a cramped carriage. The lady remembers that this has never happened before, when she was drinking with Francis. Francois's sweet words and smile were imprinted in the girl's memory as something very pleasant. Elle pretends that everything is fine, but she still can't believe what happened. However, in the end, this began her unrequited love, which lasted several years. The heroine thinks that it was natural to break off the engagement. And yet, I think I still... Sir Theodore suddenly interrupts Milady's train of thought. Looking at him, she thinks that with Theo's help, she was too busy to be sad. Unexpectedly for the girl, the guy began to undress because he was too hot. "No, you damn fool! Don't take off your clothes!" Elle shouts. Due to the fact that the carriage ran over a stone, the lady almost fell into Theodore's arms. Milady tells him that she will sit down in her place so that he can rest. But Theo grabs the girl by the hand and throws her onto the seat. While the guy strokes the young lady's face, she warily thinks about how he might behave when he's drunk. Elle asks Theodora to stop while she is still kind. "Please, just once," the guy says to the heroine, exposing his chest, hovering over her. She wonders what exactly Sir Theo means by one time. The lady realizes that she feels drunk and wonders how Theodore seemed attractive to her when she saw him from afar. But now that she's looked at him up close, Elle can confidently say that the guy is incredibly handsome. The girl again asks Theo to stop, but he does not release his grip and says that all this is like a dream. "Louisa Terrace, you are completely in my power, a waking dream." Sir Theodore shares his impressions. The heroine decides that what is happening needs to be stopped as quickly as possible and puts her hand in front of her, stopping the guy. However, Sir Theo takes her hand and begins to lick the girl's palm. While Theodore tries to kiss the young lady again, she says to herself that a night must be pure and remain so until the end. The heroes are notified that they have arrived at the residence of the Duke of Claremont. Due to the fact that no one from the carriage answers, someone gets upset about this and asks him to stop showing off and open the door. Ella recognizes the Duchess's voice. The man who drove the lady and Sir Theodore to the residence intends to open the door. The heroine screams in her thoughts not to do this and realizes that she needs to come up with something. Suddenly, a loud sound comes from the carriage, which frightens the Duchess and the coachman. The door opens, and Dame Elle greets Miss Amelie. The Duchess says that she was looking forward to meeting the heroine. Noticing that it is already late, she invites the girl to stay with them for the night. Milady assures that this is not necessary. She has urgent business to attend to, so she needs to return as soon as possible. The coachman looks at the map and asks in horror what happened to the young master. "Oh my God, Theo," Miss Amelie says, seeing the guy sitting peacefully with a bloody nose. Elle is wondering how to explain this to her, because this is a clear sign that Theodore was abandoned and defenseless. On top of that, his mother the Duchess saw it herself. Thinking it's all over, the lady says in her mind that she's sorry. In the end, she couldn't keep him safe. "He must have fallen or been hit by a carriage," Miss Amelie suddenly suggests. Hearing this, Milady thinks that the lives of the knights of the 11th Division, including her, are safe. However, the Duchess is concerned about the fact that her son is half naked. Miss Amelie says that she would like to know what happened in the carriage, and preferably right now. The Duchess notices that it is already late, so she asks Elle to go to the mansion, which the girl cannot refuse. Amelie orders the coachman to immediately go to the knightly order and say that the Lady of Blois will remain at the Claremont mansion today. "If I die, please take care of everyone, Maurice," the guy's mistress prays in her thoughts. The Duchess reveals that she and Theo are the only ones living in the mansion, so they turn off the lights at night. The woman asks Lady Elle to watch her step, because it is very dark here. Following Miss Amelie, the heroine reflects on how she believed that she was no longer a tenant. But the girl thinks that the Duchess is doing her favors. When they are alone, Miss Amelie asks Milady to be frank with her. The young lady realizes that her time has come, and at this time, the Duchess asks if Theo is being bullied at work. Elle is surprised by this question, of course. Theodore had a little too much because he was the star of the party, but it's difficult to call it bullying in the girl's opinion. Miss Amelie says she noticed bruises on the guy's neck when she helped him. This, according to her, can only appear from beatings. Also, Theodore's mom can't believe that her son, who usually doesn't drink, is so drunk, wondering if this could happen because of the lady's boss. Elle says in her thoughts that she is very ashamed that she allowed this to happen. "Do you think I'm a little strange?" Miss Amelie asks, but the heroine immediately says the opposite. The Duchess shares her feelings that she was worried about Theo all the time. After the ceremony, he left and wandered the world as a simple knight, and it was difficult for them to find out whether her son was alive or not. In addition to all this, waiting for her husband only worries the woman more. The girl understands that Miss Amelie means the Duke of Claremont, who was a famous knight, but disappeared, and it is still unknown whether he is alive or dead. The Duchess tells how Theo once told her that he only returned thanks to Sir L. That is why she hoped to thank the heroine one day. "Thank you, Lady L." The lady is surprised by this news. She does not understand why Theodore could return because of her. Miss Amelie promises to order the hangover soup first thing in the morning so that until then the young lady can rest. Wishing good night, the Duchess notes that there are many rooms, so Elle can use any. However, the woman did not notice how she left Milady with the only lamp. Thanks to the moonlight, the mansion is not so dark, and the girl can use it to navigate the building. Groping the walls of the mansion, the lady tries to find any room in which she can go to sleep. Having found one of these, Elle is about to enter it, but through the slightly open door, she sees Theodore on the bed. Hiding behind the door, my lady says to herself how she thought Sir Theo was already asleep, looking at the guy peering out the window. The girl wonders what he is doing. Noticing Theodore's facial expressions, she believes that he thinks he saw something he shouldn't have seen. When Ella gets a strange feeling, she remembers a past event when she was begged to stop Sir Theo, because she is the only one who can do it. Running to the guy, she asks him to stop immediately. "Elle de Blois," Theodore says, smiling, standing with a sword in his hand. The heroine notices that the guy has blood all over his face. Wiping it away, Sir Theo says that this is not his blood at all. Theodore is also surprised that the young lady is worried about him. Replying that he is crazy, the girl refutes the guy's arguments. Thinking that Ella was still worried about him, Theodore asks to be allowed to misunderstand her. Theo says that he feels very good now and therefore does not want anything to upset him. In a dream, a girl sees a certain guy under a large, beautiful tree. Coming closer, she assumes that it is Francois, but his face is not visible. Approaching even closer, she intends to check who this guy really is. Suddenly, the man turns around and it turns out to be Theodore. He again asks the lady to let him do this just once. The guy begins to get closer and closer, causing the young lady to scream in horror. "Just Theo," says Sir Theodore, lying next to the frightened Elle. He asks the girl how she slept, addressing her as master. After the heroine screams, the guy says that he came to wake her up, but could not do this because the lady was fast asleep. Having heard the answer, Elle asks another question that interests her, why Sir Theodore went to her bed. Standing near the window, Theo, with a handprint on his face, replies that she said his name. Milady guesses that while sleeping, she might have accidentally uttered the guy's name. The girl asks Theodore to stop talking nonsense and leave the room. However, he will leave only after the lady answers him something. "Why did you call me so desperately?" Sir Theo is interested. Guessing that she most likely dreamed of him, the guy asks what Lady Elle did with him in her dream. In response, she just throws a pillow at him and asks him to get out of here, because she needs to change clothes. Having set the table, the Duchess expresses the hope that Lady Elle will like the food. The girl wants to know what it all means, and Miss Amelie wonders if the second-in-command needs a lot of strength to carry out his duties. Noticing that the heroine is staying at the residence of the knights and that my lady has long left Blois, the Duchess asks to dine together more often. "I appreciate your attention," Elle replies, reflecting on how long it has been since she had breakfast, because the Blois mansion in the capital was sold for debts. Looking at Sir Theodore, she remembers how many problems he caused her yesterday and today, but now he looks as if nothing had happened. Considering that Theo didn't say anything about it this morning, she gets the idea that he might not remember what happened yesterday. Miss Amelie notices how Elle is lost in thought and asks what happened. The girl explains in her thoughts that she cannot say that the problem lies with the Duchess's son, and she has to answer that everything is fine. However, Theo's mother feels that being a second-in-command comes with a lot of responsibilities. The Duchess says that this time the delegation brought tea leaves from the east. While tasting the tea, Elle notices that it has a unique taste. Noticing that the Duchess said about the East, she assumes that the woman is talking about the Eastern continent, and Miss Amelie confirms her guesses. She says that the Kingdom of Rouen has long wanted to establish trade relations with the Eastern continent, but this was impossible due to pirates. Because their current relationship is going well, they are able to drink this tea, all thanks to the efforts of Amelie's brother, the king. After the story, the servant brings the Duchess a certain letter. This letter is addressed to Lady Elle and has the seal of the royal family on it, which means it was sent by the crown princess. In it, Maria asks how the heroine spent her time in the Duchess's mansion. Reading it, Milady wonders how Her Highness knows that she spent the night here. Later, the girl comes to Sir Maurice and shows the invitations from the princess. The young lady says that a banquet will soon be held, which everyone can attend, regardless of status. Even people who did not receive an invitation will be able to attend the party if they find a partner with him. Maurice finds this unusual because the holiday will certainly be grandiose if all classes and segments of the population gather. Elle asks not to worry about it. They sent out the invitations in random order. Speaking of this, the lady notes that the guy will have to accompany the crown princess instead of her. That's because this is a horse escort, which in itself is not easy. This complicates the need to keep an eye on the princess. Maurice decides to ask if she has forgotten that his job is administrative. Therefore, the boy believes that it is the heroine's duty as a guardian knight to accompany Maria. Elle recalls the contents of the letter, in which the princess asked her to also call Adelita. It's not that Maria doesn't know the young lady's situation. Although she understands her intentions, the heroine knows that she is a very capricious person. That's why she won't go to the party. Suddenly, they are joined by knights from the 11th Division. They are so severely emaciated that they claim to be dead. The guys point to the place where, according to them, lie the corpses of the remaining members of the division who could not survive the training. Elle thinks this is exaggerated since they only made a few dozen laps. She also notices how the knights were cheerful yesterday. She thought they were ready for today's training. The guys answer that it's because of LeBurn, and the lady adds that Miss Lucy is also running. If this punishment was so severe, then according to Elle, it is necessary to increase the intensity of training so that the next punishment will not be so severe. Hearing this, the exhausted knights ask Milady not to do this. Looking at what is happening, Sir Maurice wonders whether he should intervene. He decides to say that the commander told the girl to come to his office as soon as the morning training is over. When the lady comes to the commander, he immediately says that he has a very important question. He says that yesterday his bottle of wine disappeared. The man asks if Ella has any ideas about this. The girl is disappointed that the commander asked her to come here because of something like this. However, he notices that he didn't even have time to try this alcohol and considers it terrible. The lady shares that she has a lot to do, so she decides to leave. But the commander asks her to stay because she has another important matter to attend to. "He was seen last night, Zephyr," says the man. Continuing to speak, Milady becomes aware that last night, when the commander was on a special mission, delivering the princess's necklace, he came to steal it. The girl wonders if Zephyr managed to steal it. Laughing, the man wonders who the heroine takes him for, saying that he delivered the necklace safe and sound. However, he lost the thief during the chase, which Elle is surprised by. The commander says that he searched the entire area, but Zephyr, like his own name, seemed to have been blown away by the wind. At this rate, according to the man, the decline in the prestige of the knights is only a matter of time. They can't let the thief continue to roam round. The mistress wonders if he has some kind of plan. The commander shares that when he arrived at work, he found something interesting on his desk. "You couldn't miss such a chance?" the man asks, showing the invitations from the princess. The commander assures that whoever catches Zephyr at this party will receive a year's salary as a special reward. Miss Lucy asks the heroine what is on her plate. The girl says that she forgot about her food, and this was supposed to be her lunch. Dame LeBurn suggests that the young lady is undergoing some kind of secret poison-fighting training. Elle replies that before the day of the party, she had to diligently find and eat spoiled food. She would gag and have severe abdominal pain accompanied by a rash. "Because of this, I might not go to the party." But after learning that years of salary are at stake, she no longer needs it. Lucy enthusiastically asks about the party the girl mentioned, thinking she's talking about the one Her Highness is throwing. Dame LeBurn wants her mistress to take her as a dear partner. She promises that she will take care of her, but Elle refuses her. The heroine explains this by saying that she will be there on a mission. But Lucy continues to try to ask her for this, trying to put pressure on her pity. The girl says that they sent out invitations by chance, and she couldn't receive it, so the only option to get there is to find someone who will drag her through. LeBurn continues to beg her, noting that he also wants to try on the dress. Elle wonders why Miss Lucy doesn't ask Sir Maurice, since he also received an invitation. Hearing about this, the girl tries with all her might to imply that she needs to do some business to find Zephyr, so she leaves. The lady, seeing her behavior, begins to bombard herself with questions. The lady also understands that she shouldn't sit idle either. She needs to come up with a plan to catch the thief as soon as possible. She also begins to wonder why the books she asked for have not yet been delivered. At this time, Theodore talks with a guy in the library about books. They tell him that according to the rules, the books that the heroine requested are not among those that can be taken at any time. Theo reveals that his mistress, Dame Elle, requested them. However, the boy replies that according to the rules, she herself must come and request them. Theodore, with a grin that makes the guy scared, wonders if the guy wants his master to waste her time on this. Sir Maurice intervenes in their conversation, offering to write his name in, and also asks to renew his book for him. Elle's friend explains to Sir Theo that if he is from the royal family, there is no need to threaten others. Maurice asks the guy if he would like to read the book. There are no two bad dogs, but Theodore refuses him. Theo also notices that the atmosphere today is a little different from usual. Maurice thinks this is due to the upcoming party that everyone has found out about, especially since there are no restrictions on origin or status. He will be glad if Theodore also receives an invitation, because he is the second son of Count Claremont. Showing him the invitation itself, Theo replies that he is not interested in it, and Maurice thinks that the guy is annoyed because he did not receive it. The guy decides to play a little trick on Theodore and says that Her Highness would never have invited him anyway. But Maurice says that he is worried about Lady Elle because Adelita was also invited to the party. And I think you already understand who her partner is? The boy asks Theo. Mad Dog remembers taking the master to a bar because he had heard that the loser of a practice match usually pays for the drinks. That day, Elle won Theodora, and he decided to take her to the bar. The girl was surprised that he believed this because the cadets simply laughed at him because he never lost. Wondering if she should worry about the price, the heroine says that it's already here anyway, so she thanks him. When a girl tells Theo about something, it begins to seem to her that the guy is not listening to him and asks about it directly. Having received no answer, she wonders why she drinks with someone who ignores her. Suddenly, she expresses her interest in whether Francois is also busy today. Not the first time, but Theodore understands who Milady is talking about when he asks if they are in a relationship. Nothing like that, Elle answered, and Sir Theo noticed a special expression on the girl's face. He would never have thought that she could make such a face. The guy talks about his observations, that the lady constantly walks around with a boring expression on her face, so he thought that she was an emotionless doll. In response, she asks not to tease her when she is trying to be serious. But, to be honest, I really love him, the heroine says, sharing her feelings. Sir Maurice brings the guy back, asking him if he is now interested in the party. Theodore notices that the lady did not tell him about this, but they explain to him that Lady Elle has always kept everything to herself since childhood. But this time everything is different, and Maurice assures that the young lady needs Sir Theo. In the end, Her Majesty wants Theodore to attend the party as a partner for Elle to triumphantly take revenge on the traitors. Did he understand my message? Sir Theo liked the word partner and shares it with a mischievous smile. Realizing that this means a positive response to Maurice's words, the guy understands that now, instead of the heroine, he must become the princess's escort. At this time, Francois asks Adelaide, who was holding the invitation, what he should do, because his father is still furious about the cancellation of the engagement. The guy also doesn't like that he became public enemy number 1, meanwhile, when Elle and the second son of Count Claremont. The girl interrupts his cries and explains that this news is only to hide the scandal on her part. Adelita also notices that everything is over between Francois and the heroine, so she wonders why the guy is worried about this now. The traitor says that the girl told him that everything will be fine. However, everything changed according to him, and everyone started avoiding him. Adelita realizes that she is no longer able to listen to the guy. The girl wonders in her head if Francois seriously thinks that everything will be okay after he disrespected Her Highness's sword. Adelita wonders what Elle sees in the whining idiot. On the other hand, according to the girl, this is why the guy easily fell into her network. Hugging Francois, she tells him that this is only because no one can understand how pure their love is. Don't be afraid, the girl asks, and the guy obeys her. Adelita realizes that she still needs Francois and vows that she will send Elle to hell. There are 3 mystical things in the world that the heroine cannot understand. The first is Theodore, Claremont's crazy dog. The second is Princess Pippin, and the last is endless downloads of reports. Even if Elle is often not in her office, she is always actively trying to complete her paperwork, so she wonders why it never ends. She decides that someone is definitely shirking work. Entering the office, she sees Theodore sleeping. The girl understands well people who want to sleep after dinner, but even her asshole assistant shirks. She decides to calm down and hopes that Theo has at least started doing his job. After seeing the documents, Elle realizes that his paperwork looks impeccable, so she thinks the guy deserves a little credit. Covering him with a cape, she expresses the hope that he will not wake up until the end of today. Taking a closer look at Theodore, the lady comes to the conclusion that he has really changed over these 5 years. Previously, the guy was at the center of endless scandals and did not know how to hide his emotions. But if you compare before and after, when he keeps his mouth shut, it doesn't seem so bad according to Elle. The girl notices that Theodore's hair is getting into his eyes, but she cannot straighten it, because if he wakes up, he will not get rid of it. Holding her breath, she approaches the guy and tries to straighten her hair. Because of this, she remembers the situation that happened in the carriage. Suddenly, Sir Theo asks when she is going to do it. The lady gets scared and wonders how long ago he woke up. If the mistress wants Theodore to wait, he can obey, because he is good at waiting. Wait what? The guy is surprised that the girl is really asking this. He explains that he means what she was thinking about now. Elle replies that she didn't think about anything like that. But Theo, calling her a liar, shares his opinion that she wanted to take him as a partner to Her Highness's party. Otherwise, he does not understand why she looked at him like that. The heroine is at a loss what the guy is talking about, believing that he completely misunderstood. Thinking that it could have been worse, the girl says that Lady Leburn spoke about it this morning. And now Theodore, too. She immediately starts making things up to Sir Maurice, wondering why he would put such terrible things into the guy's head. Judging by Theodore's look, the lady thinks he has already decided everything for himself. Elle wonders if there is some decent excuse she could come up with and looks at the stack of documents. She decides to make a bet with Sir Theo. If he manages to finish that pile of papers before her, then she will take him with her. In the end, the heroine wins, but the guy tried hard, and thanks to his help, she managed to complete everything on time. The girl asks her assistant what's wrong with his face. She wonders if Theodore is trying so hard to get to the party. Why doesn't he go to Her Highness and ask for an invitation? He explains that he wanted to officially come there with Lady Elle and show that there is such a wonderful guy next to the hostess. The lady asks not to make her laugh, because she is simply fulfilling her knightly duty, so she does not need a partner or anything else. Milady has only one reason. All in order to get the money. Catch Zephyr. Theodore remembers how the princess told him that Ella loves money, and the only reason why she took him on as an assistant was because she increased the heroine's salary by 10%. Remembering this, the guy asks the girl if by chance she would like to receive a reward. She replies that knights are not after money, but her family has debt problems, so she would not refuse. Theo is surprised that the Blois family is in debt, and the lady reveals that the former Countess Victoria of Blois received the lands of Aquitaine after she married the lord of these lands. But even then, her family had big debts due to the wars. There had only been one battle, but her family had still not been able to pay off the expenses incurred. Therefore, Elle wants to pay off the debt on her own. She would not want these difficulties to be passed on to the next generation. Now Theodore understands why this woman behaves this way. The guy asks if the heroine wants to listen to a funny story. She may decide to make him her partner after listening, adding that this is about Adelaide. A little later, when Sir Theo was running laps, Miss Lucy comes up to him, and she decides to ask why, when now is not the time for training, he runs. He reveals that he just felt really awkward staying in the office after Lady Elle wanted to be alone, although the only thing he asked her was whether the girl would take him to the party. Dame Leburn laughingly suggests that the heroine is tired of the guy. In any case, Sir Theodore points out that Miss Lucy needs to work now. She wanted to explain why it wasn't working, but she couldn't. This makes Theo feel like she has the same reason as him. Lucy still thinks Lady Elle is strange. The girl thought that the deputy commander rejected her request to become her partner because she had already identified a boy for this role. Despite being called a mad dog, Dame Leburn doesn't think so. It seems to her that he really likes the mistress. The girl also guesses that there was definitely something between them at the Knightly Academy. "I really am a crazy dog," says Theodore, stopping from jogging. He explains that he easily flares up and begins to attack everyone, and once he bites, he never lets go. Theo asks if Miss Lucy knows what he did at the night ceremony. The guy insists that a normal person would never do such a thing, but everyone seems too excited to care about his words. Hearing all this, Lady Leburn asks what is his real reason for everything. Sir Theo explains that he couldn't stand by any longer. The people he killed dared to pester and taunt his owner. "So you killed them all because of the Lady Elle?" asks Miss Lucy. Theodore assumes that it will be difficult for the girl to understand and realize this, but he assures that everyone who looks at his mistress will be destroyed. Theo thinks that the owner will be angry after hearing these words from him, but still, no one needs to worry anymore. As long as Elle is with him, he will never do that again. All the knights of the 11th Division are chasing an unknown man in a cloak. One of the squad members almost caught him, but he manages to escape from the guy's hands. The alleged criminal leaves everyone else without a reward, and one of the knights is quicker to capture the man. With a quick lunge, Elle kicks, but the unknown man manages to dodge her attack. However, Sir Theodore stands in front of him, who says that he will not go anywhere because he belongs to his mistress. But unexpectedly for the guy, the criminal jumps over him and rushes into the distance. The heroine continues the chase and her sword is thrown to her. Having taken a stance, the girl takes out her weapon so strongly and quickly that the ankle ones fly off at the criminal and he falls to the ground. "It's all over," Elle assures, and tells the unknown person to show his face and surrender without further ado. Underneath the cloak is Miss Lucy, who complains that the heroine is too scary, noting that it's just training and she doesn't have to be so serious. The other knights also think about it and wonder why the deputy commander is so serious today. Praising everyone for their work, the lady suggests taking a break and switching roles to continue the training. When everyone is resting, Theodore approaches the girl and says that she is the only one who managed to catch Zephyr during all the training. He thinks that the reward will definitely be hers. Thanks for the water she brought, Milady also shares her feeling that she will be able to catch the thief. The lady thinks that, be that as it may, she only had the opportunity to catch Zephyr thanks to the help of Sir Theo. The more a girl sees him, the more useful he seems to her. Theodore, according to her, is a good thinker, and his time management and paperwork are beyond praise. "Should I praise him a little?" the heroine asks. Remembering the 7th chapter from the book about dogs, the lady praises the guy for his work and scratches Theo's chin. She wonders whether she should have acted as it was described in the book. "Are you praising me now?" Theodore asks, and Milady confirms his arguments, but asks him to leave her alone. The guy notices that Elle said he did a good job, but he feels like he needs something better than regular praise. The girl guesses what he means about the party, noticing that Sir Theo is still not giving up. Still, she knows how he worked tirelessly just to get something from her. Theodore believes that the lady has nothing to lose, because he is handsome and they will look good together. Elle wonders who in this world could say such a thing, and the guy replies that these are the words of his mother. Milady explains that it doesn't matter to her who says what. She wants to attend the party herself, because Theo did a good job. She can accompany her to the palace, where he can ask the princess for an invitation. Theodore really can't understand why she doesn't want to take him as her partner for revenge, because, given her situation with Adelaide, it would be a devastating victory. Meanwhile, Princess Pippin and the Duchess are playing chess, and the young lady asks her aunt if she had a good time in the capital. Miss Amelie thanks the girl for this and notes that in the end she is always next to her. She is bored with horses. The Duchess says that Lady Elle is gorgeous as always, and Maria says that her aunt will be able to see a more interesting and stunning heroine at the upcoming party. According to the princess, this will be the day when the House of Claremont and the House of Blois will go hand in hand. "Are you saying that Lady Elle and my Theo will be partners?" asks Miss Amelie. The girl says that she was recently notified of a suspicious situation. Of course, the House of Blois no longer has such strong alliances with other noble families, but if Mary supports them, it will strengthen the power of the royal family and also show that we are not to be trifled with. If everything goes according to the princess's plan, it will be a great advantage for both the royal family and the House of Blois. The Duchess is pleased that perhaps Lady Elle wants her son to be her partner, but from what she has seen, the heroine is not particularly interested in this. The princess assures Miss Amelie that she is mistaken. These two will definitely go together, because her faithful knight will not allow her to be insulted. "Checkmate, Auntie," says Maria. The Duchess points out that when it comes to betting, Pippin can't win. But according to the Duchess, the princess should be wiser not to jump to conclusions so quickly. Of course, Miss Amelie believes that she always knows what to do when it comes to politics. But everything is not so easy when it comes to relationships between men and women. "Why isn't it easy?" asks the distressed Maria. While in the carriage, Elle looks out the window and notices that the weather is gloomy that day. Theodore asks the lady if she only said that they were heading to the palace, but the girl replies that first she needs to go somewhere. When they arrive at the place and get out of the carriage, the heroes are met by children. Turning to a guy named Enzo, she asks if he solved many problems today. Hearing the boy's positive answer, she notices that a girl named Emma is selling flowers and asks if the girl picked them herself. She also pays attention to a boy named Tom, noticing how much he has grown since their last meeting. Elle intends to buy flowers from the girl if there are still any left. Luckily for the heroine, there are still a few flowers available. "Do you know all these kids?" Sir Theodore is interested. Milady says that Emma, who has pigtails, is a sick mother. Enzo was a pickpocket, but one day he tried to rob the heroine and her people. The girl Lena has brothers and sisters who are 4 years younger. Her dream is to raise enough money to pay for the education of her youngest. The lady is about to tell more about Tom, but she is interrupted by Theo, who wonders how she knows so much about them. Elle explains that the reason is because Her Highness is helping these children through her. The girl Emma gives the flowers to the lady, and she thanks her. "Sorry," says the little girl who sold the heroine's flowers to Sir Theodore. Emma places one beautiful flower for, in her words, a wonderful uncle. Before leaving, some guy from afar shouts to the heroes to immediately move away from the children. Elle tells him that she only came here to buy some flowers. The guy asks not to make him laugh, noting that he will never believe the words of the nobility. According to the guy, the girl is here only to steal and sell children. The lady notices that Jacques still doesn't trust anyone, which is why she feels sorry for him as always. Elle warns that she plans to visit them again next time. She tells Theodore to follow her, and obeying her command, he glances at the boy, wondering if he could be him.